Okay, y'all. So we all know Khabib Nurmagomedov, right? We all know that he's considered one of the greatest fighters of all time, and he's considered to be one of the top goats of the UFC and MMA ever. I'm starting to think that Khabib Nurmagomedov's legacy, as of now, is hanging in the balance. You know, especially with Gaethje, Justin Gaethje just getting knocked out by a 145er, Max Holloway. Poirier being gifted a title shot, and with McGregor not being as respected amongst the hardcore MMA fans as he used to be. And I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but right now I'm thinking that Khabib Nurmagomedov's legacy is really hanging in the balance and is already not really up to par with a lot of the UFC and MMA goats that we've seen before, like John Jones, GSP, Anderson Silva, Israel Adesanya, BJ Penn, you know, you name it. It's a bunch of legends in the game, and I don't know if Khabib Nurmagomedov's legacy really holds up to those guys. And I'm going to break it down for you today. Khabib Nurmagomedov is known as one of the best lightweights in the UFC ever. And there's no debate about how good he is. He is very good. He's one of the best ever. When we talk about some of the best ever, you know, there's at least a top 15 and maybe even a top 20. And I would say that Khabib probably belongs in the lower bottom half of the top 10, maybe the higher part of the top 20 of the last half of that 20. When you think about greatness, right? You think about guys that have beaten former champions, guys that have went on long title runs, guys that have went up in weight, and you think about the quality of opponents. I think those four things factor into how great somebody is. And I guess you can add highlights to that too, and longevity as well. But I just feel like Khabib is lacking some of those things. Now, if we look at the top 6 of Khabib Nurmagomedov's opponents, it'll go like Al Iaquinta, Michael Johnson, RDA. Then you got Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, and the number 1 opponent, who I believe is Conor McGregor. Out of those 6 top opponents, I think that Michael Johnson can be canceled out because, you know, he's always had a checkered past to beating really good fighters then losing to really good fighters. Al Iaquinta, you probably have to X him out too. He's never had a belt, and, you know, he had a kind of the same thing as Michael Johnson, kind of the same problem. RDA is a hell of a fighter and is a Hall of Famer and is a legendary fighter, but he's had a long string of losses and has lost to a lot of people. And, you know, with Khabib making fun of Nate Diaz for having 12 losses, what would he think about RDA having about 16, I think? So by Khabib's standard, I don't know if how highly he regards RDA as a win. Amongst those 6 people I mentioned, those 3 I'm taking out: Al Iaquinta, Michael Johnson, and RDA. And we're left with 3 opponents. You know, out of those top 3, it goes Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, and Conor McGregor. Khabib's top 3 opponents are number 3, Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier at number 2, and Conor McGregor at number 1. And I want to break down these top 3 opponents that Khabib has faced. And I want to show why I feel that there's asterisks and certain things that you can say to diminish Khabib's accomplishments and to diminish his position in the GOAT list. So at number 3, we have Justin Gaethje. You know, he's had a hell of a highlight reel, and he's a hell of a fighter, hell of a warrior. Nothing that I want to take from him. And maybe this video is a little bit cynical, but I'm just trying to be as objective as I possibly can be. With Justin Gaethje being the 3rd of the top 3 of Khabib's opponents, now you can say a lot of things. There's a lot of criticism that you can throw out. First off, we could start off with Justin Gaethje being KO'd by Max Holloway. And, you know, not to take away from Max Holloway, but objectively, Max Holloway is coming up from 145, came up to lightweight, and was able to knock out Justin Gaethje at lightweight. That doesn't look too good for Justin Gaethje right there. Even though Max Holloway is a legend, Max Holloway is also at the tail end of his career. kind of a crazy thing to see Max Holloway knock Justin Gaethje out the way he did, and says a lot about Justin Gaethje. One of the other things also is that Justin Gaethje was dropped and then subbed by Charles Oliveira, who held that number one spot for a long time and is only down now because he lost to Arman Tsarukyan in a tough fight. Justin Gaethje has never held a UFC belt. He's never held a championship title, and therefore he's never been able to defend a championship title and has never had a title run. And not to diminish Justin Gaethje as a quality of opponent, I just don't feel like, that being your top 3 opponent says a lot compared to John Jones and the likes of GSP and, Israel Adesanya and all these other guys that have faced former champion after former champion. And to be fair to Justin Gaethje, to be completely fair to him, he should be the one that gets the title shot right now because he was able to avenge his loss against Dustin Poirier. And the only reason Dustin Poirier gets a shot right now at the title is because Justin Gaethje chose to fight for the BMF title, which was his biggest mistake because he ended up getting knocked out by a 145er in Max Holloway, who's at the tail end of his career. So Justin Gaethje really messed that up, and that's why I have him as a top 3rd opponent under Dustin Poirier. But depending on what happens with Dustin Poirier, might have to move Gaethje up there, seeing that as Justin Gaethje just knocked out Poirier in the fight before. It's only fair. But for right now, he's number 3. He's number 3 right now. Now, if we go to the second highest ranked opponent that Khabib's faced, I would say Dustin Poirier. Now, you got to say Dustin Poirier as the number 2 ranked opponent because of his longevity, the way he's been able to adapt and further his career and acclimate to past opponents by avenging losses with Conor McGregor and being able to still beat Max Holloway in a 5-rounder after all these years, still maintaining a victory over Max Holloway shows that he's been able to sail and coast along his career pretty well and has only been going up, if anything. To give some criticism about him right off the top, he's also never had a belt as well. When he fought Khabib, it only lasted about 1 round and he got subbed immediately. So this isn't looking good for his title shot against Islam Makhachev, who is trained by Khabib. This is a guy that's never had a belt. This is a guy that's never defended a title, and a guy that's never went on a title run despite all the quality opponents he's faced and beaten. This is someone I've considered to be Khabib's 2nd highest ranked opponent, and by the time he faced Khabib, he had already lost to McGregor, who, I guess I'm gonna spill the cat out the bag right now. McGregor's the number 1 opponent, even though I already told y'all, it's kind of messes up the countdown thing. But either way, he lost to McGregor, who I believe is Khabib's top opponent. By that time, Poirier didn't avenge and he lost to McGregor. So Khabib beating Poirier was just beating a guy that got beaten by the guy that you just beat. You know what I mean? So he's like, you just went down the ladder. You didn't go up the ladder after beating Conor McGregor is what I'm trying to say. So, you got to factor that in. And like I said before, he was KO'd by Justin Gaethje. And he was also submitted by Oliveira as well, who was ranked number 1 just recently. You got to think between Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier, they both were subbed by Oliveira. They both got subbed by Khabib. Who's to say that Oliveira and Poirier wouldn't get beaten by Arman Tsarukyan? Who's to say that? And like I said, right now, Khabib's legacy is in limbo right now because Dustin Poirier's legacy is in limbo as well. If Dustin Poirier ends up winning this title shot against Islam, it's going to say a lot. It's going to say, that Khabib beat a future champion in Dustin Poirier, and will add a lot of credence to Khabib's legacy by having Poirier get a title and beating the guy that Khabib trained. That's going to add a lot of credence to Dustin Poirier's legacy, which will add a lot of credence to the victory over Dustin Poirier that Khabib has. Now we got to get to Conor McGregor, who I believe is the top-ranked opponent that Khabib has ever faced, the best opponent that Khabib's ever had. Now, there's a lot of good things you could say about Conor McGregor, and this isn't even a video about that. because there's so much good things you could say. The records he's broken, the highlight reel he has, the way he won his belt from Jose Aldo, and then the way he won it from Eddie Alvarez. Let's be honest. Conor McGregor has never defended either one of his belts. Conor McGregor has never defended either one of the belts that he won from Eddie Alvarez or Jose Aldo. You can't claim to be a GOAT if you've never defended a title. That's a big part of being a GOAT. So that hurts McGregor's legacy a lot. And it hurts the quality of the victory that Khabib has over him. And another thing is, Khabib considered Conor McGregor a fluke. He considered him to be a chicken. He considered him to be someone that just got lucky and had Dana White privilege. And this is somebody that you beat. And prior to beating him, you thought he was a chicken. You thought he was a fluke. You thought he really wasn't anything. Then what kind of credence do you give yourself to beating someone that you thought was a fluke and a chicken? It might sound like mental gymnastics, but this is just objective facts that Khabib thought that McGregor was beneath him and was just lucky to have the title and never deserved it. Khabib has also said that Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje were better opponents than Conor McGregor. If that's so, then how come them two have never won a title? And if McGregor is such an all-time victory, is an all-time win on your resume, then how can you refer to him as a chicken, and how can you give any credence to that victory that you have over him if you never respected him to begin with? I think those things play a lot into somebody's legacy, the quality of opponents and, beating former champions and all that good stuff, and yeah, Khabib has really only beat two former champions in RDA and Conor McGregor. Looking at these things right now and seeing where it is right now, Khabib's legacy really is in trouble, because if Dustin Poirier loses to Islam Makhachev, then we're just going to be talking about a Dustin Poirier and a Justin Gaethje that have never held a title, never defended a title, and have continuously lost to the number 1 and number 2 ranked guys in their division, with McGregor being the only former champion along with RDA. But we don't consider RDA as like a top quality opponent for Khabib, not along the lines of Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor, at least. McGregor is someone that never defended his titles, and that's your best win. So there's a lot to be said right now. And yeah, I just wanted to make that video just explaining why I felt that Khabib's legacy is in trouble right now. It's kind of in shambles, to be honest. At this current moment, we can't put Khabib's legacy over John Jones or GSP or even BJ Penn or even Alex Pereira right now, who's been absolutely killing it and is on the most historical run we've seen in the UFC. Just wanted to get that out there, and I want to know what you guys think. Is Khabib's legacy in shambles right now? Is this a resume, and is this a fighter? Is this the type of career that can be compared to the GOATs like Anderson Silva and John Jones and all those guys? You let me know. Let's talk about it. Leave some comments in the comment section. Leave a like, share, subscribe if you want more content. And while you're at it, go follow the podcast page, Productive Conversations Podcast, hosted by my friend, Matt Brown. And, I produce clips over there, and I also make some video essays over there as well. So, stay tuned for that. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. Am I wrong? Am I bugging? You think I'm right? You guys kind of agree? What's up? Let me know. It's Dolo Ren, and it's been another one. I'm going to catch y'all next time. Peace.